live right now or anything like that.
That's cool.
Hey, hey there, Noah. This is Jed Barker. I'm actually going live on a couple of my social media channels right now with Noah Franks from Alliance Pro Home Inspections. Super excited to actually have you here, Noah. We talk a bit, and we've been able to share some ideas. And hopefully been able to gather some referrals from each other. But I'm excited to have you here, and welcome to some of my social media channels, brother.
Yeah, I'm just thankful to be here. I know our schedules is so hard to get everything to mesh up so that we can actually have the time to communicate. But yeah, I love knowing you. Great, conversations back and forth. So it's nice to finally sit down with you and be able to talk.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. I was telling Noah, and the reason why we're on today on this live social media broadcast is quite often when I'm a loan officer. So when I talk to clients, they're excited to buy a house. A lot of people are first-time homeowners, so they don't know much of anything about the process. It's all anticipating, a little concerned, but very anticipating the whole process. And they're looking to me to be an advisor for them on really all the aspects of the home purchase process. And so it doesn't just stop with the finance part of it. That's super important. Once my clients can get some clarity on finances, they can start thinking about all the other things that will come up. But one of them that always comes up, I would say almost 100% of the time, is a question once they get into a contract, usually not until they're in contract. But I'm trying to bring it up quicker on my conversations, how important it is to make sure you're buying the right property, not just emotionally, but that it's in good condition, that you don't get sort of taken. Not that anyone's trying to be, take you for anything like that, but that you know what you're buying. And the only way to really do that is through an inspection. And Noah's one of the home inspectors I know that is here in the upstate. Does an awesome job. How long you been growing your business, Noah? Like how many years in business now?
I've been doing this since 2016. I've owned the business since 2019 when I
Okay.
started Alliance Pro from scratch. We've grown
Excellent.
exponentially. We're currently up to 5 home inspectors that work with us full time.
Wow.
So we're do a pretty good bit of volume. So very thankful and grateful for all the opportunities.
Wow, man, that's amazing. Noah's obviously a independent business owner that's employing local people here in our community.
I wear
Not
many hats.
right. Well,
I'm
I'm sure you do.
bookkeeping, manager, I'm janitor. I mean, all the hats I have to wear. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And one of those very important hats is the role that you'll play with the homeowners to make sure that they understand what they're buying and stuff like that. I've purchased, I think, this is my 8th personal residence that I've purchased, plus some other houses. And I've been tempted on some of them because I was wanting to do things, a little out the book, not to even do a home inspection. And luckily, I've never done that. I've always got some of my mind said, "Oh, yeah, it's fine. You walk through it yourself. You saw everything." But you know what? I didn't see everything. And I always got a huge book of all the issues with the house I want to buy. I'll tell you, luckily for me, I've never been scared away from buying a house by a home inspection report. But sometimes some of our first time home buyers, they get your report, Noah. It's about 15 pages long, and it
Mhm.
tells when they look at it, they think the home is in horrible condition, kind
Right.
of thing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. That'll be one thing. Let's remember that is, what do we really need to be concerned on when it comes to the home inspection report? Because for a first-time homeowner, it can be very overwhelming for them to get that report and to have 100 things that you say are problems, right? And for me, sometimes it's the real estate agent a lot of times that sort of helps them through that. But even for me, knowing that, it can help us to know going into it, what are the real things we need to look at as real problems? And what are the things that you're just pointing out that are really just normal if you're going to be a homeowner, and you're just going to sort of have to do those over time if you want to address them.
Right.
So that'll be some things there. So obviously, tell me a little bit about the importance of a home inspection from your viewpoint. You could sell us a little bit here on why we should be getting that, but educate our clients, because we'll have a lot of them. I'll send this out. Why should they spend how much does it cost to get a home inspection? $300, $400, $500?
Yeah, so that's that's what I was going to say is one of our main things is adding value.
Okay.
And so for a simple, our home inspection starts at 360. It's based on the square footage of the house. So the bigger the house, the higher the fee goes because it's more work for us, more labor. But there is never a time to where you aren't going to get that $360 value. I can almost guarantee you every time we go into a house, counting the material defect, counting the labor to fix that material defect, you're going to make your money back exponentially by having this. But if you even if you don't use Alliance Pro, Noah, whoever, just to do this is the greatest investment that you can do before you purchase that home. We complete the entire due diligence for the client. Doesn't matter if they're living right down the road next door, they're living out of state. We perform, and everything to us is kind of black and white.
Yep.
Is it working? Yes or no? Does it function? Yes or no? But at the same time, like you said, what are the important items to fixate on? That's why we have a color code system.
Mm,
So a majority of our things is considered maintenance items. We put it in the blue column. So it's the DIY, FYI, future upgrades, that kind of thing goes inside the blue items. The orange items are what we consider recommended repairs, functionality, structural issues, obviously water damage, some type of stuff
mm,
like that. So all that goes into orange. And then you have the red items, the things that could get you hurt, missing handrails,
mm,
electrical hazards, stuff like that. So that's why we have the color code system, because if
yep.
everything was just on the page, black and white, here it is, yeah, it is overwhelming. It's
Yep.
whoa. So mainly that really helps the agents kind of say, hey, what can we focus on now? Protect my client from getting hurt. Then they can do the blue stuff once they move in if they choose to do that. Cleaning
Yeah.
the dryer lint out of the vent, that kind of stuff. You got some wrinkled carpets. I mean, that stuff, that's cosmetic stuff. But
Right.
we focus on the big stuff that you really need to know before you consider purchasing this home.
The
Mhm.
color code system seems like as long as going into it, that way when our clients aren't opening up that book, and they see I don't think am I exaggerating here that you could list 100 things in there, right? Like it's
Yes,
yes,
easily.
easily,
Multiple
right?
pages. Yes.
Yes. And when your mind sees 100 things wrong with the home, as a first-time homeowner, a lot of times they go to start thinking, "Oh, wow, this home is in really bad condition,"
Right.
kinda thing. But the reality is it's not a lot of the time. It just has a lot of normal things that happen. And one thing tell me what you think about this, but one thing that a lot of people forget to do is, they get the home inspection, they have the booklet, right? And
Mhm.
then they go through and fix, they might have some inspection repairs done. So they negotiate, there's the red things that Noah said to do. Let's address those, or maybe the other color. But then that goes and gets put in the moving box. They don't look at it again. When if they could remember to do this, I think they'd be in really good shape. Is use that book now as the item list that they'll make their home more beautiful,
Yeah,
better over the next 5 years, right? And
absolutely.
they'll get at those things. Imagine coming 5 years later, they come time to either sell that house or whatever, and they've taken their time without having to figure out what to do. You've just told them these are all the great things you could do. None of them, a lot of them aren't very expensive, but do a bit of them every year, and your home will be in amazing condition. And
Yeah.
that's a huge value, I think, in what you do is providing people a book that is a roadmap to them keeping the house in order.
Yes, and
That make sense?
some sellers even have it. I mean, we'll go into a house and they'll have that inspection laying on the kitchen counter. Just here it is. Here's what I've done. I've lived here for 2 or 3 years, 5 years. I did this. I found these issues, and then I had these repairs. Here's my receipt. And so that saves us a lot of
That's
trouble
cool.
to
Yeah.
just, instead of a full blown, going in blind inspection, we're almost
Right.
doing a reinspection. So it's actually
Exactly.
easier for us when they disclose more. It's easier because we're just kind of doing like a back check. But
Exactly.
yeah, we see that all the time. Pre-listings are kind of taken off since the
Yep.
market has shifted.
Yep.
Going in there, getting that inspection just for like the big ticket items,
That's good. Yeah.
so the seller knows what to fix. Go ahead and get ahead of the curve, and
Right.
so we can get this thing into closing and get this, get these people moved in.
Yeah.
So those are kind of taken off now that the market has shifted. So it's just it's either or. It's either
Yeah.
expedite or it's you got time to actually get the inspections now. So it's
Yeah.
it's just the market shift.
I like that. Hopefully everyone caught that, but just in case, just to reiterate, if you're listing your home or getting ready to list your home and you really want to know what might come up in an
Right.
inspection, get an inspection done. You do the sellers ever share that in report, or no? It's just sort of theirs to
No,
get
they
on.
do. They share
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They like I said, to help them sell the house, they'll leave that on the counter.
It's
And
interesting. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if they get another third party inspection, they'll come in there and read our report. And it's, we don't focus on the cosmetic stuff on those. It's just
Sure.
big ticket stuff.
Big ticket stuff.
What blind person could not see that you have
Got it.
major issues in the crawl
Got it.
space? You've got standing water in the crawl space. Hello. Let's
Yeah.
get that fixed before we try to, because everybody's going to find it. Everybody's going to see it. Let's just go ahead and fix it, get it done, get over this hurdle,
Yeah.
and then we'll get clear to close on it.
I like it. I like that a lot. So let's keep that in mind. Um, Before we jump into the next part and what we're going to go into now, we're going to spend maybe 5 or so minutes. Something on my mind that I thought would be cool to talk about with Noah and show our home buyers is, if you do have that inkling to say, it's not a requirement. I've asked Jed, people ask me this, do I need to get a home inspection? I always say, you don't need to for the loan, because my job is the loan. I help people get financing, and I don't require a home inspection. My appraiser is going to go out and appraise the house. He's going to pull up anything that's against the guide, or that won't work with the guidelines of the loan. But it really has nothing to do with inspecting the house from your standpoint. So I say you don't need to. So if any of my clients or anyone watching this has any desire to save the $300 and not get it, I wanted to show them why that is a bad idea.
Yes.
And why, if they do the home inspection, they will save themselves way more than they're going to spend. And that is the point of the home inspection. Before I do that, though, I want to flip this up on the screen in case you don't catch that next section. This is Noah's contact information, 864-663-3320. That's his website. Take it down. You can contact them pretty easily by these methods, right?
Yeah, so we're one of the few companies to where, excuse me, you can book the entire job through our website. So you're welcome to call that number. We have a receptionist that answers 24/7, 365. It's a call center. They do an amazing job for us. They take in the information, but you yourself can book whoever you want. We give you access to all of our inspectors. You can book at any time, any day of the week, any night. In the middle of the night, people are booking jobs. So
Right on.
you can book the whole thing through the website. It's a pretty powerful website. Yeah.
Right on. That's super good. So our next segment here is, I'm going to go through and we're going to hear from Noah on a couple examples of what a real estate agent and a buyer would have missed because they just didn't have access to it when they're looking through the home, and how it would have saved them, or how it did save them, the either effort, money, or even buying the house sometimes, where they shouldn't have, or at least got it fixed during the process. So I'm going to share my screen on that. We'll go this one and we'll go Windows. Let's do this one first. And
oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, we'll do the good one first.
That was on my Facebook. So that was a early 2000s home. People had lived there, good part of a decade, and they had no idea that their bathroom on the first floor is just pouring into the crawl space. So I went in, huge puddle of water in the crawl space.
Wow.
What the heck is going on? And it because we always fill up the bathtubs, get them to hold water, make sure they do hold water, make sure the water goes into the overflow, and it protects the
crazy
personal property. And the whole thing is just dumping. And so it's things like that all the time. Newer, one house was just built in 2018, completely detached sewer line, just where they didn't glue the joint. Simple glue at a joint, completely not done, detached, all the sewage just dumping in the crawl space. So it's things like that. The seller thinks everything's fine. They're up there in their house, everything's beautiful. We've seen, open, almost like an open cesspit in people's crawl space, and they have no idea that stuff is even happening. And so,
wow.
And that house could have had an inspection, everything was fine then. 10 years later, things are not fine. But for whatever reason, I don't know who did not even run that drain pipe over to that bathtub. That was pretty shocking. But yeah, that was from 2022. But it come up in my memories on my Facebook, so I made sure and share that.
That was just a bathtub drain. At least it wasn't a toilet, right? I mean, that would have, that would
We've
have
seen
been
this
way
before
worse.
too. Just you can look right up the toilet flange just sitting there. You can see the bottom of the toilet, and they're just flushing it right into the crawl space.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to know about that. I mean, imagine that would cause a lot of water issues or damage down there, puddling, everything like that. And you wouldn't know that. I mean, I have never jumped under a home personally when I go walk through it to buy it. I leave that up to the inspector.
Yes, for good purpose.
So, for good reasons, right? Yeah, let's go look at a couple other things here. We'll go entire screen. I'll just do that, and I'll jump into here real quick. Let me see. All right. Oh, did you see that all funky like I do?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a funky one. Maybe I don't know how to do that one. Hold on a second. Let's try that one more time.
If you do it the way the first way you had it there, I could kind of see the timber.
All right, let's see this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool? Tell me a bit about this one right here. What are we looking at, and what problem did you help that buyer solve by being able to inspect this?
So that is a two-part picture. So inside the report, that is heavy fungus on a girder. That girder is soft, meaning it has been wet down there for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
The entire girder was soft. You could squish it with your hand, no problem,
Wow.
because that has just had a lot of water
Mm,
at that. And the second part of the picture was the dehumidifier. So even whenever the seller thought they were repairing this issue and trying to to get some of that condensation out of there and condition the airspace, the dehumidifier was not even working anymore. It had been
wow.
off for quite some time. So it's one of those things where even though you think the repair has been made and the seller's up there ho hum about, we did this repair, spent this amount of money, we do the due diligence to follow up to make sure that that is still proper. But they needed huge structural repairs
Mm,
on this one. Multiple girders and joists were just completely crumbling, heavy fungus everywhere. And like I said, the DHU was not even functioning anymore. Super old DHU had been there good part of 5 to 10 years. It was a residential grade, not a commercial grade DHU.
mm,
So those things, if you run them like a dog, they'll just last a year or two and they burn out. The
yeah.
motor locks up on them. So you need, for that type of moisture, I don't know what was going on with that house, but you need a commercial grade DHU. And that's something we note in the report also, whether you have, the proper repair for that area.
Mm. So in something like that, no, I mean, do you ever hear the story behind that? And what I mean by that is like if you tell someone that, do you ever hear what they did about it? Like, did they go and negotiate with the seller to fix it? Did they back out of the house? Like, do you ever hear those backstories, or is that just too much information? You're like, hey, I did my job, we're moving on, kind of thing.
So a little bit of both.
Yep.
Just depends if the agent actually follows up with us and
Yeah.
lets us know. Like sometimes we do get invited back out to do re-inspections where the seller did agree to do the
Ah,
repair and fix
got
it,
it.
and then they invite us back out for another. I think it's 175 right now. We go back out, visit the home, and make sure everything's to par. And sometimes it is a deal killer because it's just so much. The seller's not willing to negotiate. Either they negotiate on price, make a concession for these repairs to be done in the future, or the seller will go ahead and hire the contractors themselves, provide receipts where the repair was done, and make sure that this is to the buyer's liking before they do the changeover at closing. So
Got it.
um, there's like three different paths: either concession, repairs, or walk away. So it
You
just
got it.
really depends. But my heart is always a material defect. Any type of material defect can always be repaired as
Yep.
long as the seller or the buyer is willing to live with that and
Got it.
move on. Like if you love the house, this was a otherwise it was a beautiful house. I know that was a horrible picture, but it was
Yep.
actually a beautiful house. It was on some crazy acreage
Yeah.
and it was a really cool spot. So if you love the house enough, anything can be refixed. It's just
Right.
it's just money. It's just timber.
Yeah.
People do it every single day. Repair people
Exactly.
fix this every single day. So it's in my world. I wish I could give you like a USB drive of my brain. In my world, this
Uh,
is normal, and this
yep.
is what they're paying me to do is find these problems. But it just depends if everybody's on the same boat about just making the transaction work and letting these people have this house and make these repairs. So,
Yeah.
like I said, full disclosure, tell you everything that's going on with the house, and then it's up. We kind of pass that hot potato back to the agent and buyer. They figure out what they want to do with it, and then, like I said, if they want to invite us back out for a re-inspection, we're happy to do that and perform a second level of due diligence to make sure the repairs were done correctly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I think that's all the images we'll go through
Okay.
on that this time. Um, one thing that you mentioned that I want to highlight for our first time home buyers that may have not done this before is you mentioned there's three pathways, right? You said
Yeah.
concessions,
Hmm.
it's repairs, or walk away, right?
Right.
I just want to highlight what that means because some people might not understand that. So concession is where something needs to be fixed, and you might not actually request it to be fixed, but you may ask for a concession such as a dollar value to be given
Right.
to you as a buyer so you can fix it yourself, and that does come up quite often. Sometimes it's the path of least resistance, and it's the path to follow, and so that's one way. The walk away would be something like, hey, no, I'm buying your house. I checked, I need this fixed. And you say, I'm not fixing that. And we're like, okay, or
Yeah.
I'm not buying the house. You're not selling your house. Right. That kind of thing. Or repairs, and repairs happen quite often. I mean, if we give a repair list, our clients give repair list, they would fix them and then we'd close. From a loan perspective, like a loan originator like me, there's not a lot of the things that you list. I'd say out of 100 things on an inspection report, sometimes we don't care about any of them because they're not vitally important to the structure of the home, and
Right.
they're not really reducing the value of the home from a mortgage perspective. So lots of times we never look at the home inspections. I'm never asking to look at the home inspection. Only thing we care about is the appraisal. And if the appraisal comes out right with no problems, then we're good.
Right.
But what you do, I love what you do, because you are obviously on the team of the buyer.
Yes.
You are an advocate for the buyer, and you're
Yeah.
only there to feed them truth. I mean, you're the
Right.
truth man, right? Like, I am the
So
truth man.
that's one of the
Kind of thing.
things. Being
Yep.
being a home inspector, we are held to the South Carolina LLR, and for
Uh-huh.
a period of 1 year, we are not allowed to do any repairs to this house. And
Wow.
so it's not in our best interest to go in there and find stuff because we can't make
Exactly.
the money to do the repairs. So we
There you go.
have to be a neutral third party advocate for the buyer, and
Makes sense.
just like we give them all the information to move on. My favorite thing, honestly, is the concessions, because then
Yep.
the buyer can choose their own contractor.
Right.
You tell the seller to do it, even though we may say licensed contract to repair this,
May
you're
not do it.
not
May do it
guaranteed
themselves.
that they're going
Yeah.
to do that. So
Yeah.
my favorite is a concession where the buyer can fix it at their time with their own person that they know and trust to do the work
Yeah. I
properly.
like it. That's perfect.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate you. I said I'd keep this about 20 minutes. I think we'll do that.
Yeah.
Just for everyone, just keep in mind how to get a hold of Noah, one of the best home inspection teams in the
Thank
upstate
you, man.
here.
I appreciate that. We work
Really,
very,
really,
very
really,
hard. I greatly appreciate that.
absolutely, absolutely, man. We'll end it up right here. I'm going to end the live stream. You and I will stay on for a minute after this, and
This is
then
cool.
we'll decide where to go from there. But thanks for
Sweet.
everyone for attending here today with us, and God bless you guys. I hope everyone's going to have a great Friday.
Thank you.